What if the world's most powerful car companies weren't just brands, but sinners? Behind the billion-dollar empires, the sleek marketing, and the flashy reveals, each automaker has a darker side, driven not by vision, but by vice. From Ferrari's obsession with status to Tesla's unrelenting hunger for profits, let's uncover the 7 deadly sins of the automotive world. Pride. Ferrari. You don't buy a Ferrari. Ferrari lets you buy a Ferrari. The brand has a notorious reputation for only selling certain models to approved customers. You could be a millionaire with cash in hand and still be told no. Even after you buy one, the rules don't stop. Don't modify the car. Don't resell it too fast. Don't draw attention the wrong way. Break those rules and you're out. deadmau5 found out the hard way when he wrapped his Ferrari 458 in a Nyan Cat theme and called it the Ferrari. Ferrari sent him a cease and desist and banned him from buying future cars. Justin Bieber was reportedly blacklisted after he resold his Ferrari 458 too quickly and committed the ultimate sin in Ferrari's eyes. But they weren't the only ones. Floyd Mayweather was allegedly cut off for flipping too many limited edition Ferraris for profit. Nicolas Cage lost access after selling his Enzo below market value during a financial crunch. Even 50 Cent landed on Ferrari's bad side after washing his car with champagne on Instagram and publicly criticizing its maintenance. Even respected car journalist Chris Harris was banned for years after exposing that Ferrari tuned their press cars to be faster than customer versions. Just telling the truth was enough to get him iced out. That's the level of pride we're talking about. Ferrari isn't just building cars, it's crafting a legacy, one where the brand matters more than the buyer. In their world, you don't own the car. You're allowed to keep it until you step out of line. But while Ferrari guards its empire with velvet ropes and blacklists, another brand is far more straightforward. They want just one thing, and they'll charge you for every last bit of it. Greed. Tesla. If Ferrari's sin is pride, Tesla's is greed, cleverly disguised as innovation. Tesla redefined what an electric car could be, but along the way, it also redefined how to squeeze every drop of revenue from its customers. Want heated seats? That might be a paid upgrade through a software update. Want to unlock more range or acceleration? That's also an extra charge, even if the hardware's already there. And then there's full self-driving. First announced in 2016, it's still not fully autonomous, still not complete, and still sold for thousands. As of now, you're paying for a promise. All the while, Tesla's prices have gone up and down like a roller coaster, rarely reflecting actual production costs. During the peak of demand, Tesla hiked prices across the board, only to lower them again when competitors caught up. And at the center of it all, Elon Musk, whose 2018 compensation package was the largest in corporate history, worth up to $56 billion if targets are met. That deal made headlines not just for the money, but for what it said. Profit comes first. Tesla isn't hiding its greed, it's branding it as ambition. But while their hunger for profit fuels the future, another brand was born out of something far more volatile: wrath. Lamborghini. Lamborghini wasn't born in a boardroom, it was born in a grudge. Ferruccio Lamborghini was a successful tractor manufacturer who loved fast cars. He owned a Ferrari, but hated its clutch. When he brought his concerns to Enzo Ferrari himself, he was reportedly dismissed with a smug response: "You stick to tractors and I'll stick to cars." Big mistake. Ferruccio's rage lit a fire that would change the supercar world forever. He launched Lamborghini as a direct rival to Ferrari, designing cars that were faster, flashier, and louder. It wasn't just business, it was personal. That fury gave birth to legends like the Miura, the Countach, and the Diablo. Even Lamborghini's Raging Bull logo symbolizes unyielding strength and aggression. What started as a revenge story turned into an empire. Wrath created something Ferrari couldn't control, and it never forgave him for it. But while Lamborghini's anger fueled greatness, one American automaker was facing something darker behind closed doors. Lust. Ford. In the late 2000s and 10s, Ford was hit with multiple lawsuits and federal investigations, not over cars, but over conduct. Reports surfaced about systemic sexual harassment, particularly at its Chicago assembly plants. The allegations weren't isolated. They stretched back years, even decades. Women came forward with stories of retaliation, verbal abuse, and unwanted advances. In 2017, Ford settled 2 lawsuits for over $10 million. The company issued a public apology, admitting it had had failed its workers. What emerged was a culture where power went unchecked, and where workplace lust was tolerated far too long. It wasn't just a legal issue, it was a moral stain, and it showed that even the oldest and most iconic brands aren't immune to sin when accountability fades. But while Ford's sins festered inside, another company's obsession was external. It wasn't about power, it was about imitation. Envy. Genesis, Hyundai's luxury offshoot, has made waves in recent years. But behind every accolade is a not-so-subtle truth: it wants to be someone else. From design to performance to marketing, Genesis has modeled itself after Europe's elite, namely BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And while it's built some seriously good cars, the shadow of its rivals looms large. Look at the G70 or G90 and you'll see familiar styling cues. Listen to their pitches and you'll hear phrases like challenging the status quo or world-class luxury echoing the language of brands that already own that space. Genesis is the student that studied everything but hasn't quite found its own voice. Envy may be fueling their rise, but it's also holding them back from true identity. Still, at least they're moving forward. One American giant spent decades going nowhere and loving every second of it. Gluttony, Cadillac. If there's one brand that personified excess, it was Cadillac. Throughout the mid-20th century, Cadillac wasn't just a luxury brand, it was the symbol of American indulgence. Massive chrome bumpers, tail fins the size of surfboards, and engines so big they made no sense in any practical world. Cars like the 1957 Eldorado Brougham were more expensive than a Rolls-Royce. They featured everything from automatic perfume dispensers to electric seats in an era when most cars didn't even have seat belts. Cadillac didn't care about efficiency or restraint. It fed on power, prestige, and size. Bigger was better, louder was better, more was better. But that hunger backfired. As fuel prices rose and environmental concerns mounted, Cadillac found itself bloated and outdated. Its refusal to adapt nearly cost it everything. Gluttony may have built the throne, but it also shook the foundations beneath it. And while Cadillac gorged on indulgence, one automaker on the other side of the world barely moved at all. Sloth. Lada is famous for one thing: never changing. The Soviet-born automaker produced cars like the Vaz 2101 and Riva for decades with almost no innovation. These vehicles were basic, slow, and painfully outdated, but also incredibly durable. You could drive a Lada through snow, mud, potholes, and still get home. But speed, style, comfort, forget it. The designs barely evolved. The tech was non-existent. Lada wasn't just behind the times, it had stopped trying entirely, and yet the brand survived. In many markets, especially Eastern Europe and parts of Russia, the Lada became a weird kind of icon, not for excellence, but for endurance. Sloth didn't kill Lada, it became its identity. But what does it say about the industry when even laziness can be marketed? But here's the question: are these brands thriving because of their sins or in spite of them? Because in the end, the car world isn't run by angels. It's driven by ambition, ego, obsession, and everything in between. And maybe that's what keeps us watching.